The year was 1860. The United States had just chosen a new leader. His name was Abraham Lincoln. He was a tall man from Illinois. His face was kind and thoughtful. After a long and difficult campaign, Lincoln had won the presidency. The country was deeply divided over the issue of slavery, and the future felt uncertain. On an evening shortly after his election, Lincoln returned to his home in Springfield, Illinois. He was tired from the day's excitement and the weight of his new responsibilities. He walked into his room looking for a moment of quiet rest before the challenges that lay ahead for him and for the nation. Lincoln decided to lie down on a couch in his chamber. Across the room from where he lay was a bureau, a type of dresser with a large, swinging mirror attached to it. As he rested his weary body, his eyes wandered toward the glass. The light in the room was dim, creating long shadows that danced on the walls. It was in this quiet, ordinary moment that something extraordinary happened. Something that would stay with him for the rest of his life. He saw his own reflection in the mirror, but it was not just one reflection. There were two faces looking back at him, side by side, almost touching. One of the faces he saw was his own, just as it always was. It was the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, alive and full of color. But the other face was different. It was also his face, with the same features and the same tired expression, but it was ghostly and pale. This second Lincoln was like a phantom, faint and almost transparent, as if it were a spirit visiting from another world. The sight was deeply unsettling. Lincoln sat up, startled by the strange vision. The pale second face disappeared almost instantly, leaving only his normal reflection behind in the polished glass. Confused and a little disturbed by what he had just witnessed, Lincoln tried to understand it. He thought perhaps it was just a trick of the light, or a product of his own exhaustion. After all, the recent weeks had been incredibly stressful, and his mind was full of worries about the divided nation he was about to lead. He stood up and moved around the room, trying to see if he could make the strange double image appear again, but no matter how he tried, he could only see his single, normal reflection. The ghostly twin had vanished, leaving only a lingering sense of mystery and a deep, unsettling feeling in its wake. A short time later, Lincoln's wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, came into the room. He decided to tell her about the strange and ghostly vision he had seen in the mirror. He described the two faces in detail, one healthy and vibrant, the other pale, sickly, and almost like a ghost. He explained how the second face had vanished when he moved, leaving him confused and a little frightened. Mary, who had a strong interest in signs and spiritual matters, listened with great attention. She did not dismiss his experience as a simple trick of the eye. Instead, she believed it was an omen, a sign from the spiritual world about his future. Mary Todd Lincoln had her own interpretation of the strange vision. She believed the healthy, normal face represented Lincoln's first term as president. She was certain he would serve his full 4 years successfully. The second, paler face, she explained, was a sign that he would be re-elected for a second term. However, the ghostly and deathly appearance of that second face worried her deeply. She interpreted its paleness as a dark premonition. She told her husband that it meant he would not live to complete his second term in office. Her words added a chilling weight to what Lincoln had seen. The strange vision did not happen just once. A few days after the first incident, Lincoln was in the same room and happened to glance into the mirror again. To his surprise, the double image reappeared. Once again, he saw his own face next to a pale, ghostly version of himself. This time, the image was even clearer than before, which made the experience even more unsettling for him. Just like the first time when he tried to get a better look, the phantom image faded away into nothing, leaving him alone with his thoughts and his growing sense of unease about what it could possibly mean for his future. This repeated vision had a profound effect on Lincoln. He was a logical and rational man, not one to easily believe in ghosts or omens. Yet, he could not shake the feeling that he had seen something significant. He told the story to a few close friends, including his personal secretary, John Hay. He often recounted the tale with a sense of wonder and a touch of melancholy, as if he knew it held a deeper meaning that he could not yet fully grasp. The image of the pale second face lingered in his mind, a quiet and persistent reminder of the dark prediction his wife had made about his destiny. As Abraham Lincoln began his presidency, the country was torn apart by the Civil War. The conflict brought immense sorrow and loss to the nation, and to Lincoln personally. He carried the heavy burden of leadership during America's darkest hours. The stress of the war aged him, carving deep lines of worry into his face. During this time, his thoughts sometimes turned to the spiritual world and the possibility of signs and omens. The memory of the two faces in the mirror remained with him, a private mystery that seemed to connect with the great tragedy unfolding around him. The war was a time of death, and the ghostly vision felt like a personal echo of the nation's suffering. The war also brought personal tragedy to the Lincoln family. In 1862, their beloved 11-year-old son, Willie, died from a fever. The loss was devastating for both Abraham and Mary. Mary, in particular, was consumed by her grief and turned even more toward spiritualism, holding seances in the White House in an attempt to contact her lost son. While Lincoln did not fully share her beliefs, he was deeply affected by Willie's death and the constant presence of loss. The ghostly face in the mirror seemed more relevant than ever, a symbol of the fragility of life and the shadows that seemed to follow him even into the highest office in the land. Lincoln was known for his stories and his sense of humor, but he also had a quiet, melancholic side. He was fascinated by dreams and often shared them with his cabinet members and his wife. Just days before his death, he told them about a dream he had. In the dream, he heard people crying and wandered through the White House to find the source of the sound. He entered the East Room and saw a coffin guarded by soldiers. When he asked who had died, a soldier told him, the president, he was killed by an assassin. This dream, combined with the earlier vision, seemed to foretell a dark end. The vision of the two faces in the mirror seemed to be coming true. In 1864, Lincoln was re-elected for his second term, just as Mary had predicted the second face symbolized. The healthy face had represented his first term, which he had successfully completed despite the Civil War. Now he had entered the period represented by the pale, ghostly face. The war was finally coming to an end, and there was hope for peace and reunification. But for Lincoln, the premonition lingered. The ghostly second face seemed to warn that his second term would be cut short, that he would not live to see the nation fully healed. On April 14, 1865, just 5 days after the Civil War officially ended, the ghostly vision became a tragic reality. President Lincoln was assassinated while attending a play at Ford's Theatre. He died the next morning. He had been re-elected for a second term, but as the pale, ghostly face in the mirror had seemed to predict, he did not survive it. Mary Todd Lincoln's chilling interpretation of the vision had come true. The healthy face had seen him through his first 4 years, but the phantom face had foretold his death before the end of his second term. The strange story was no longer just a curious incident. It was now a haunting prophecy that had been fulfilled. After Lincoln's death, the story of his doppelganger vision spread widely. His friends and secretaries who had heard him tell the tale shared it with others. It was published in newspapers and books, capturing the imagination of a grieving nation. People were fascinated by the idea that Lincoln might have had a premonition of his own tragic fate. The story added a layer of myth and mystery to the life of a man who was already becoming a legendary figure in American history. It transformed him from just a great leader into a man touched by destiny, whose life and death seemed to be written in the stars or seen in the mirror. Today, the story of Lincoln's ghostly double remains one of the most famous and enduring legends about him. It is a tale that blends history with the supernatural, fact with folklore. We are drawn to it because it makes a historical figure feel more human and vulnerable. It shows us a man who, despite his great power and intellect, was still subject to fear, wonder, and the mysteries of the unknown. The story reminds us that even the most rational people can have experiences that defy easy explanation, connecting them to a world beyond what we can see and touch. The legend of Lincoln's doppelganger continues to capture our curiosity because it speaks to a universal human experience. We all wonder about the future and look for signs that might tell us what is to come. Lincoln's vision is a powerful and spooky example of this search for meaning. It is a story that makes us think about fate, destiny, and the thin veil that sometimes seems to separate the world of the living from the world of spirits. It ensures that Abraham Lincoln is remembered not only as a great president, but also as the subject of a haunting and unforgettable ghost story.